Okay, so before I can talk about week 3 of the NFL season, I want to take a look back at week 2. I had made my predictions. I went 10-6 week 1. So let's see how I did in the second week. Starting with the Vikings going to Philly to take on the Eagles. Eagles won 34-28. This was a game that I got correctly. The big thing I had said going into this game was the Eagles have a bad habit of letting teams stick around. They did it against the Patriots, which they won, and they did it against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, which they didn't. And I was saying, I do think Minnesota is still a good team, but I need to see Philly completely put a team away. Get out to an early lead, put your foot on their throat, and not give the Vikings any signs of life. And at one point, Philly was up 27-7 because, of course, they were leading the Vikings 27-7. But the final score, like I said, 34-28. Minnesota came back. They never took the lead, but they were consistently getting close. Now, I will say, every time the Vikings scored and Philly got the ball back, they were able to move down the field and do what they needed. DeAndre Swift, it felt like he could not be stopped. Oh, I'm so sorry, Bub. Sorry, I was moving my hands. I accidentally slapped my cat. Sorry, Bub. You all right? The Eagles could not be stopped on the ground, but they weren't able to do a whole lot through. Okay, I can't say not a whole lot through the air. Devontae Smith could do a whole lot through the air, but the rest of the receiving core, not so much. The Vikings seemed like the opposite. It felt like they never really got their ground game going. But Kirk Cousins had 364 yards or something close to that, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was on fire. I don't remember what Justin Jefferson's yardage were. I had said that he can have games and have halves where he really doesn't do a lot. Either he won't have a lot of catches, he won't have a lot of yards, sometimes both. I don't know what his stats were in this game, but it felt like he was just it was catch after catch after catch, yards after yards after yards. Man was unstoppable. However, the big difference in the game, as close as it was, as on fire as the Vikings were, 5 fumbles lost. Now, one of those 5 fumbles was negated by an offsides penalty, and I believe the Vikings still scored a touchdown or a field goal. 28 points. I don't think they ever scored a field goal. So I think they still scored a touchdown on that drive. But it was still a fumble they would have lost. It would have been a turnover if not for an offsides. 4 other fumbles. I believe it was the first one was they got a punt return deep into Philly territory, and then as the guy was falling to the ground, ball comes out, Philly gets the ball back. I believe it was the literal next play from scrimmage for the Vikings. Alexander Madison fumbled the fucking ball, which he got an unnecessary amount of hate for afterwards. I read some of the comments. It was some evil, hateful fucking shit that has no place in football. Kirk Cousins, I don't remember which of these was next, but at one point, Cousins got hit and fumbled the ball. There was one where Jefferson had the ball at the 1 or the 2 yard line, was trying to extend, but it got hit and he fumbled it out of bounds, which is a touchback, which means the Eagles then got it on their own 25. Which, it's a very controversial rule. Some people are completely fine with it. Some people fucking hate it. I used to fucking hate it. Now I don't hate it as much. You can argue that's a really rough punishment. If the ball goes out of bounds anywhere else on the field, the offense still takes possession. That's bullshit. Yeah, but I feel like I can make a case because essentially that end zone is the defense's home. So yeah, if it goes out of bounds anywhere else, the offense still maintains possession. But if it goes out of bounds in the end zone, they don't get it at the 1. It's not a touchdown. Essentially, it's going back to the defense's home, and they now have possession of it. I feel like I can articulate why, and this is a weird way of saying it, but in the lore of what football is, it makes sense to me. It's maybe a little unfair, but at the same time, it's hey, don't turn the ball over. If you hold on to the ball, it won't be an issue. So, But anyways, to me, the real difference in the game Eagles were killing it on the ground. Vikings were killing it through the air. Eagles were not turning over the ball. Like, there might have been a turnover or two. I don't remember. But it felt like there were so many. Like, the Vikings turned it over 4 times. Almost had a 5th. Ball security needs to be huge for this team. Because I think Kirk had 2 fumbles and a pick week 1. That's what cost them the game. That's what cost them the game here. If they can fix those turnover problems, especially the fumbles, I think the Vikings can get it together. But on the one hand, I'm like, good win for Philly. But this is still indicative of what their problem is to me. You're winning, but you're not winning as well as you should be. Like, I was watching the Saints game last night because, of course, I was. And there's a point where the Saints were winning, and I was like, yeah, like, we're up. But I'm not. I'm happy we're up, but I'm not happy with how we're up. We should be playing better. It should be working better. And then Clay, who doesn't really watch football, he's like, so you're winning, but you're upset that you're winning. And I'm like, yeah, 100%. Like, I picked the Eagles. I'm happy they won, but they didn't. They proved me right by winning, but they proved me wrong by making it way closer than it was. Now, whenever they needed to score, they scored. Whenever they needed to get a stop, they got that stop. But they're playing a fucking dangerous game 3 games in a row, going back to the Super Bowl last season. They need to get that out of their DNA. They need to be fucking killed. Maybe it's because they lost Jonathan Gannon, and he's like, hey, if you want to play for me, I'm looking for fucking killers. Maybe that's exactly why this kind of shit is happening. I don't know, but overall, the Eagles still got the one. Next game, Ravens-Bengals. Ravens won 27-24. This was, again, I don't think I saw a single snap from this game. Like, most of the early games, I haven't seen shit from. I was just kind of following the games as they were happening. Not as much as I was last week because I was working. I was working this week and last week, but I was actually really busy, so I didn't have as much time to check. But I still try to check the flow of the games every now and then. This was a game where the Ravens, I think they were winning the entire game, and they never really pulled away. Excuse me. I think the largest lead was 10 points. I think Burrow had like 80 yards. It was either he had like 80 yards at halftime or like 30 yards at halftime. That's 2 weeks in a row where in the first half he has played like absolute dog water. This is bad. And granted, you can make some excuses. He's still injured. He's recovering from an injury, because he missed camp. He's not as in tune with his receivers. It'll come with time. They started 0-2 last year. Look at how the season ended. True, fine. 0-2 is still not good. Yes, it worked last year. Yes, it's a long fucking season. 0-2 is bad. 0-2 in the division is worse. Actually, who were their first 2 games last year? Because I know they dropped the first game to Pittsburgh. I think the second game was against Dallas. Because I think they lost that game. Which, an out-of-conference loss is not awful. It's not great, but it's not awful. But 0-2 in the division is pretty fucking bad. I said it last week. I'll say it probably again this week, too. I still think Burrow is a good quarterback. I really do. But I do think he is overrated. Like, when people are like, dude, he's like the 2nd or 3rd best QB in the league. Like, I don't think he's that good. I think he is very good. I probably have him, like, I don't have an official ranking off the top of my head. It's like, he would probably be in my top 10, maybe my top 15. I don't know if I can think of, 14 other guys I would have more than Burrow. I feel like he's probably a top 10. I don't know if I'd go top 5. Okay, Mahomes, Allen. I mean, I know I was critical of Allen last week, but I'm definitely, he did what he needed to this week for sure. Honestly, I would put Hurts, maybe not necessarily at number 3, but Hurts, Herbert, Tua looks so fucking good right now. Maybe I would put Burrow next. I'm kind of blanking on quarterbacks in the NFC right now. I don't know. I don't really want to do a whole quarterback ranking, but it's like I still think he is very good. But I don't think he's like necessarily like, oh, he's like number 2, number 3, quite that high. So far, I understand the excuses. So far, he is not playing like a top 3 QB. He's not even playing like a top 10 QB. He kind of looks like shit. I hope if it is an injury thing that he is able to heal up and that he's able to go back to his normal form. Make it sound like fucking Dragon Ball. There, you can get back to your normal form. He's only using 5% of his power, Kakarot. If it is a chemistry thing, then I hope he's able to get in chemistry with his receivers and he can go back to playing really well and the Bengals can be competitive. But boy, the Bengals are kind of starting to get, because I had even said, I was like, I don't really trust the Bengals. I don't really trust the Ravens. The Ravens are starting to look comfortable. So I feel like this is a team, I don't know who they're playing off the top of my head next week, so I don't know if I've got them winning or not. But they're a team where I feel like I will feel comfortable picking the Ravens to win games. With how the Bengals have looked, and yes, they kept it close, but as I was following the game and the updates, it never really felt like the Bengals were going to win. Maybe if I had watched the game and it would have felt a little bit different, I don't know. But I feel like the Bengals are starting to become a team, at least after these first 2 weeks, where I'm feeling really comfortable picking against them. And that's not good. And I know they've got the Rams next week, who look really good, and I'm gonna end up picking the Rams to win that game. If they prove me wrong, great. If not, they might start just being a team where I'm like, okay, I don't think this team is going to go like 0-17 or anything like that. Kind of the same with the Chargers. I'm like, I don't feel a lot of confidence in them right now. But good win for the Ravens. It's a division game. They're 2-0. Who did they play last week? They played, boy, I'm blanking because I don't think they played Cleveland. No, they didn't play Cleveland because Cleveland played the Browns. So they're not 2-0. They didn't play Pittsburgh. So they're not 2-0 in the division. But they do have a division win, 2-0 overall. It is a good start for them. Houston, that was who they play. So they are 2-0 in the conference. But currently, I am 2-0 picking this week as well. So now we get to my first loss, where the Seahawks beat the Lions 31-20. That's not correct. It was 31-28. No, not 31-28. Because they won by a walk-off touchdown. I think 31-20 was the Colts and the Texans. What the fuck? Yeah, okay, my bad. That is supposed to be for the Colts and the Texans. I didn't write down the score for the Seahawks-Lions. I tried to make, because as I was doing it, I was not writing the scores down, and I tried to scribble it in the margins. I completely skipped over the Seahawks game, but I wrote the Colts score where that game should be. That's my bad. I don't remember what the score was. It was like 36, 20, 26. No, because I don't think they both cracked 30. It might have been like 34, 28. It was something like that. But the Seahawks got a walk-off touchdown in overtime. They got the ball first and not give the Lions a chance to score. And I will be honest, I don't have a problem with that. I sincerely do not have a problem with if you get the ball first in overtime and you score a touchdown, the game is over. People say it's unfair. They say, the game should not come down to a coin toss. It doesn't. It comes down to what the fuck you did in those 60 minutes. And it also comes down to the fact that you can get a stop in overtime. You just didn't. Yes, is it more fair to win the coin toss? Sure, because you get that extra chance. But you had time to stop them in in regulation, and you didn't. You had a chance to score more points in regulation, and you didn't. That's honestly just how I feel. Essentially, if I could put it like this, defense is still a fucking part of the game. If your defense balls out on that first possession, you can still win the game. I don't like it. There's a lot of content creators who talk about football that I really like and really enjoy. But I notice that a lot of times, this was a low-scoring game, thus it was bad and it was boring. this is a high-scoring game, therefore the game was fantastic. Essentially, and granted, there is a difference between good offense and... A low-scoring game can be because of good defense. It can also be because of bad offense. Those are not necessarily mutually exclusive, but they are two different things, and I understand that. But it's something I see a lot, and it kind of bothers me a little bit. It's like, yes, I love a good high-scoring game, but a strong defensive match is also something that can be really fucking fun to watch. But regardless, I digress. This game, this was a high-scoring affair. There were times when the Seahawks were up. There were times when the Lions were up. It seemed like the Lions had all the momentum. They were able to force overtime, but Seattle got the ball. Lions defense went MIA at the end. Though I will say, I have seen that game, walk-off touchdown, and it looks like Aiden Hutchinson is blatantly being held on his way to Geno Smith. So I was saying, I think I said this last week, the Lions beating the Chiefs without Chris Jones and Kelsey, to me, that is not something that makes a game an asterisk. A clear, blatant hold on the final winning play of the game that doesn't get called, that would have negated that play. That's the kind of thing that can make me say it. There's a bit of an asterisk there. That's kind of bullshit. But regardless, Seattle now gets in the win column. Detroit is no longer undefeated. Not really much else to say because I didn't get to see much of the game, but it did look like it was a pretty fun back-and-forth affair. Good win for Seattle. It's definitely a loss for me, 2-1. So then we get to the next game, which is the 31-20 Colts victory. And I had said when talking about it, I was like, there's a part of me that says Houston is going to win this game. I mean, it's at home. I'm not 100% if Big Tony is going to play. I think D'Amico Ryans is going to make sure his team is really tough week in and week out. The other part of me went, Big Tony looked pretty fucking good against the Jaguars. And I mean, it's not like the Texans are world beaters or anything. If he plays, they might get off to a really hot start. And there was something in my gut saying, I know you want to pick Houston, but don't. The Colts are winning. And I had said, I'm picking the Colts. And I'm glad I did. The Colts got off to a really hot start. I think at one point they were up 28 points. I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't remember if I actually wrote the score down at one point. I don't think I did because at one point I don't know why I'm getting so tongue-tied and kind of fucky. They were up, it was 21 points, 28 points. It was something really huge. And then Houston started coming back. I remember at one point, the score was still 31-20. It was getting kind of late in the fourth quarter. I think there was about 5-6 minutes left. Houston had a fourth and something. I think they either went for it or kicked a long field goal. And they didn't convert. And then the Colts were able to run out the clock. Looking at CJ Stroud's numbers, I don't think I wrote them down. Let me check. I didn't. I just wrote CJ Stroud with numbers. I think it was 2 touchdowns, no picks, 384 yards or some insane shit. His numbers 2 weeks in, just looking purely at the stat sheet, have looked really good. I know there's a stigma against Ohio State quarterbacks because aside from Joe Burrow, who's Ohio State didn't want him as their quarterback. He's an LSU quarterback. They tend to not be very good in the NFL. And I mean, so far, Justin Fields doesn't look to be breaking that trend, unfortunately. I hope he can. Right now, CJ Stroud might be the guy who's breaking that. And if so, props to him. It seems like, at least numbers-wise, he's looking really good. With Big Tony, he had 2 rushing touchdowns, had a touchdown through the air. It's okay. He's doing really well. He is killing a division rival, and he's injured again. And this, I think, was either late in the first half or early in the second half. So Gardner Minshew actually played a good chunk of the game. And it was kind of noticeable. It's okay, this is now, Houston is starting to come back, and the Colts aren't able to do as much. Which, to me, says something really good and something really bad about Anthony Richardson. The really good thing is, it seems that he is pretty fucking good at playing football, which is awesome for him and awesome for the Colts. It means that, like, when they have him, this team is playing hard. Like, it feels like they feel like they can win a game. We love seeing a team rally around a dude, especially a young kid, and really giving him confidence. I love that. On the other hand, your biggest ability is availability. He's 0 for 2 in finishing NFL games. That's not a good sign. That's really, really bad. I hope he's able to take care of himself. He's able to keep, because I think this game was a concussion. I mean, I didn't actually see the hit, but I hope he's able to heal up. I hope he's able to get better at protecting himself and being able to slide and, avoid those dangerous hits. Because I want to see this dude do well. Right now, it looks like he is doing well, but it's something he's got to keep in mind. But at this point, 4 games in, 3-1, pretty good record so far. Next, the Bears and the Bucs. I picked the Bucs to win. I had said, I don't want to pick the fucking division rival Buccaneers to win, but they're gonna. Baker Mayfield is not a scrub. People think he is, but I think there was more going on in those other seasons. He has a good receiving core right now. He has a very opportunistic Bucs defense that got a pick 6. They got it was pretty close to the end of the game. I think it was 20-17. Fields is very deep in his own territory. I think it's 1st and 10 at his own 4-yard line or some shit. They get a pick 6. The next drive, now that they're up 10, they pick them off again. I don't remember if there was another turnover. It's an opportunistic group. That's what I said. They're tough and they love getting takeaways, and they're really fucking good at getting takeaways. As a Saints fan, I would know. With the Bears, I still don't think I can name a player on their defense. At least not off the top of my head. There might be a guy or two. I'm oh no, I do recognize that guy. Okay, blah, 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 blah. But I don't really know the Bears defense. I don't know how good they are. 2 games in, doesn't sound like they're that great. I mean, to be fair, they gave up 20 points against the Bucs. That's not a huge number. It's a non-zero number, but I would say that's pretty average. They kind of got fucked up against the Packers, but part of that was also just the consistent offensive ineptitude and turnovers, which is, that's the Bears. Offensive ineptitude and turnovers. When was the last time the Bears had a good quarterback? Fields, I hope he can develop into one, but so far he's not looking great. Trubisky was fine, but not great. Cutler had times where it's this guy's pretty fucking good, but not consistent. I don't know who they had before Cutler. I think Cutler was the first QB the Bears had when I started watching football. But everything I know about the Chicago Bears history is great defense, usually solid good running backs, if not better, and fucking sweetness, but not the best quarterback play. It's they have a fucking curse. It's the Bears and an Ohio State quarterback. Justin Fields is almost destined to be bad. And again, I hope he's not. I hope he can break the mold. But everything I've seen from the Bears offense, it really doesn't look like they're doing him any favors. DJ Moore at over 100 yards, that. I like that. I want to see more of shit like that. But the Bears are looking like a team that had the number 1 overall pick and didn't pick a dude. I really hate to say that, because I think they picked a lineman, and I don't know how good he's been so far. I hope he's playing well, but from what I understand, the Bears line is kind of dog shit, so, but Tampa won, unfortunately, but I guess, unfortunately for me, because they're in the same division as the Saints, but fortunately for me, because I did pick them to win, so I'm 4-1 right now. 5-1 after this next game, which was the Chiefs. Chiefs won 17-9 over Jacksonville. I thought this was going to be a much higher scoring game. I thought, forgive me for thinking the Jags were going to find the fucking end zone. I don't think that was a hot take, but they didn't. Which, props to the Chiefs defense. Chris Jones was back. He made his presence felt. Kelsey was back. He caught a touchdown. He made his presence felt. Kadarius Toney did not drop a pass, as far as I'm aware. I know he had 5 catches, or only like 30 yards or so, but he had 5 catches. I believe he was only targeted 5 times, so he was getting back. We like seeing that. The Jaguars... Oh, I forgot. This had like one of the best plays of the week where Mahomes is under pressure. He's scrambling, and he sees an open dude, and he throws it to the open dude, who catches the ball and just kind of stands there for a second, and then he gets hit and, falls down. So at first watching it, I'm like, what the fuck? Why did that guy not do anything? Like, shouldn't your instinct be like, oh shit, I have the ball, let me do this? It's like, it's because he's the left tackle and he was ineligible. Mahomes just saw a dude, said fuck, and he's like, dude, I literally I'm ineligible. I can't do anything with the ball. That's really fucking funny. It's like, I love offensive linemen or defensive linemen, but it's like, I love seeing a lineman make a good play or like getting a catch. Like the play with that Ravens-Dolphins where the lineman just catches the ball, gets flipped, extends the ball for a touchdown. Was he eligible? No. Did it count? No. Still one of my favorite plays of all time. Or like when the Patriots offensive lineman runs like 70 yards on a kickoff, does not score. I'm like, this might be one of the only times in history I actively wanted to see a Patriots player in the Tom Brady era score a touchdown. We were robbed of greatness. But back to the game. What fucking game was I talking about? Oh yeah, the Chiefs and the Jaguars. I don't have much else to say. It was like, I thought both offenses were going to score more points. It didn't happen. The Chiefs did enough to win. They have one in the win column. The Jags lose a potential tiebreaker for the 1 seed if it comes down to that. I mean, like, a loss to the Chiefs isn't the kind of, like, it's not like a soul-searching, like, oh my god, like, maybe we're actually not that good or anything, but I would have expected them to put up, at least offensively, more of a fight, and I'm disappointed that it didn't happen. So we'll see if this is an indicator of something bigger, or if it's just, it was just, everyone has those kinds of games. So, 5-1. Next game is the Packers and the Falcons. Falcons won 25-24. They kicked a field goal to go up 1 point, very close to the end of the game. I think the Packers had like 45 seconds or some shit like that to go get into field goal range. No timeouts, but they went 4 and out. Falcons win the game. I don't really know how good the Falcons are, mostly because I haven't actually seen them. I don't know if I've seen like a couple plays. I've seen some Bijan Robinson highlights. That dude is good. Like, he's really good. It's like, I like watching him, but I'm also like, fuck, the Falcons have like a really good offensive weapon right now. I don't like you, but I really do like watching you play. It's like, as long as you don't do that to the Saints or help the Falcons win while doing it. It's like, you see, like, conundrum. But he's really good. I know Jesse Bates got some made some big plays against Bryce Young last week. I don't know if he did a lot against Jordan Love, because unfortunately I really didn't get to see much of this game. From what I remember from following it, it was pretty close, but the Packers had kind of taken over in the third quarter, but then they were shut out offensively in the fourth. I don't even think they had the ball for very much in the fourth quarter. Falcons with good ball control, with very good defense at that point. They were able to do what they needed to do. They did not blow a lead. Like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, normally it's like, okay, the Falcons just took a late lead. There's still time on the clock. You almost kind of expect the other team to be able to get into field goal range and kick the game-winning field goal and leave the Falcons heartbroken. It didn't happen. And there's the part of me that goes, is that a fluke? And the other part of me that goes, or is this a genuine culture shift? They didn't blow a lead against Bryce Young. They didn't blow a lead against Jordan Love. Have they kind of exorcised those demons? We'll see. I hope not. Again, in my division. But they are 2-0. Barely, but they're still 2-0. And I don't really know what to make of them. Is this this is a really good team. They're going to be a problem? Or no, they're getting off to a pretty hot start. They're okay. I just don't know. I do know that they still don't throw to Kyle Pitts. I don't know why the fuck they drafted him number 4 overall a couple of years ago if they're not going to throw to him, but it is what it is. I guess I'll take some Falcons ineptitude, So I'm 5-2 because I had picked Packers to win. Next game was the Raiders at the Bills, where the Bills won 38-10. Josh Allen did not I don't know if he didn't fumble at all, or if so, they didn't lose any fumbles, so that's good. Threw no interceptions. He had 300. No, I think he had 200 yards, 280 or some shit. 300 yards. It seems like he barely ran the ball because James Cook had over 100 yards. I was holy shit, what do you know? The Bills now have a running game that doesn't rely solely on Josh Allen, so he can take care of himself more. So he doesn't, maybe he won't have to go, I have to play hero ball. I can rely on other people. And he can calm down, and he can play well, and not do stupid shit. We love to see it. I mean, if you're a Dolphins fan, or a Raiders fan, or a Jets fan, or a Patriots fan, you probably do hate to see it. But this is the Josh Allen that I know. I can go out, have fantastic numbers, and lead the Bills to dominant wins over teams they should dominate. This is kind of what I mean when I was talking about the Eagles. Because the Bills, I think, were losing early. It was 3-0, 7-0, something like that. And then just score, dominant. That's the shit I want to see from Philly. Now, granted, Minnesota's not the Raiders, which I feel like the Raiders aren't good. Yeah, they won against Denver last week, but I think that says more about Denver than it does about the Raiders. I don't trust Josh McDaniels after what happened last season at all. I don't think the Raiders are going to be very good. If they prove me wrong, they prove me wrong. This week, they proved me right. This is about what I was expecting. Buffalo was going to play angry because they got embarrassed from losing to the Jets. Josh Allen is going to play a very clean but dominant game, and the Raiders aren't going to look good in the process. Exactly what fucking happened. So, good for the Bills, not good for the Raiders. I'm 6-2 at the moment. Next game, the Chargers at the Titans. So this was the game where I had said, I feel like this is my upset pick because I'm still picking the Chargers to lose. I think the Titans win, and the Titans won in overtime. So I'm 7-2. This was 27-24 is the final score. The Titans' run defense looks legit. Austin Eckler wasn't playing, unfortunately, for the Chargers. So that would have been a major boon for them. But I don't even remember what their rushing yardage was. I remember looking at it going that's not even close to what you had against the Dolphins. Man, I feel a lot better about the Saints' run game looking like shit against Tennessee. I don't think that's because of the Saints. I think that's because of the Titans. Justin Herbert, again, I think he had a clean game, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns. Looks good, but not able to get it done. The Titans, Derrick Henry did Derrick Henry things. They were able to do what they needed to do. They got the win. But the big thing for me in this game is what happened after. It was Brandon Staley's press conference, where he's asked about the Jacksonville game. It's do you think the fact that you guys lost that game the way that you did, you think it's kind of holding on for you? He's no, I don't think so. That was then, this is now, it's a different season. But he's sounding, I'm not doing the same tone, but he sounds really kind of aggressive and sensitive about it, which, I mean, if I had lost a fucking playoff game after leading 27-0, I'd be pretty prickly about it too. And then afterwards, the guy's what's kind of the mood in the locker room after losing this game? He's, for all intents and purposes, his response is, how the fuck do you think? We just lost a game in overtime. We lost a really close game last week. We're a really good team. We're 0-2, and we keep losing, and we have to deal with you guys in the media being oh, look, the Jacksonville game, you guys are kind of shitty, and blah, 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 and we're sick of it. He's getting really, really testy. And on the one hand, I don't blame him. You kind of do like to see a coach get kind of fiery every now and then. But at the same time, Brandon Staley cost them a playoff spot a couple years ago with some of his fourth down decision making and timeout calls in that Raiders game. If they had tied, they would have went to the playoffs. Raiders were completely okay with just taking a tie, and I wanted a tie so bad for the insane chaos of it all. And Brandon Staley took it from me. I was like, you cost your team a playoff spot. I'm not saying he should be fired after that, but that's not good. Then the next year, you're up 27-0, and you lose. That's twice. Like, you cost your team a playoff spot with your decision making, and you were helming the ship in a massive collapse. That's not good. I was actually, this might sound really fucked, I was kind of surprised he kept his job after that. Especially with how it sounded like, okay, Sean Payton wants to get back into coaching. The Saints want to trade him. It's like, are they going to... It sounded like he really wanted to go to the Chargers and work with Justin Herbert. And like, maybe that's something the Chargers would be interested in. Getting their young QB who's a fucking stud. And like, they just inked to like a massive deal. Maybe they want to hook him up with a really good offensive-minded head coach. And no, they're sticking with Staley. And Sean Payton's in the division, which we'll get to that in a second. But 0-2 so far. It's not looking good. I feel like his seat is getting really, really hot. I think if they lose next week and it's against the Vikings, I'm still not sure who I'm picking for that game. On the one hand, I'm like, I gotta go with the Chargers. On the other hand, I'm like, I trust the Vikings more. Like, I don't know. If they start 0-3, could they fire him? I don't know. It's like, would they want Kellen Moore then as the head coach? I don't know, but that's another loss for the Chargers. And Tennessee righting the ship at least a little bit for 1 week. We'll see how that goes for them. Good win for them. I'm 7-2 at the moment. Next game is the 49ers and the Rams. 49ers won 30-23. This is about what I was expecting, but a little more high scoring. I was kind of like, if you take it from like a 30-23 to more of a like 24-17, maybe 24-20, that's kind of more the like score range that I was expecting, but it's about the game I was expecting. 49ers get off to an early lead. Rams keep it close the entire way. 49ers are like up 10, so it's like they have a strong cushion. Rams cut it to 7, like they cut it to 7 on a last-second field goal. It's like, okay, if you want to make yourselves feel better, sure. But, I mean, points scored can be a tiebreaker, but it's like, what if there's a lot of other tiebreakers? Like, take the point, sure, it's important, but like, okay, dude. But even that, it's like, yeah, Kyle Shanahan usually, like, Shanahan versus McVay, Shanahan wins most of the time. This is what I expected. But the Rams still look good. Puka Nacua is an absolute fucking unit, dude. Like, fuck. Is he available on my fantasy league right now? Because, like, we just started playing this week because we missed week 1, which I lost the first game. I'll talk about that when I get to the fucking Steelers defense. That's why I lost. I was playing against them. Holy shit. But, I was like, man, maybe I should pick up Puka Nacua. 2 weeks in, dude looks like a fucking boss. But, yeah, like I said, this game went about as I expected with a bit, like a teeny tiny bit more scoring. So at this point, I am now 8-2. I am doing really well this week. Jets-Cowboys, I'm now 9-2. Cowboys won 30-10. Following this game, it was a lot closer than that. It felt like, while looking at it, it felt like score-wise, the Jets were always in the game, but were never really in it. They had a really good touchdown to Garrett Wilson. Zach Wilson was playing maybe not a great game, but it was kind of a clean game. until it wasn't. And then it was just like, all right, like we're kind of fucked at this point. Let me try to make something happen. And it just wasn't happening. It sounds like the offensive line was still doing him no favors. The Cowboys defense was doing whatever the fuck they wanted. The Cowboys offense was kind of doing whatever they want. CeeDee Lamb was doing whatever the hell he wanted. 100%. I know there's a lot of things about how it's like, look at Sauce Gardner. Like, he got absolutely fucked by CeeDee Lamb. No, I think they're only matched up together one time, and CeeDee did not get a catch then. But, like, he was moving around the field, doing whatever he needed. And, yeah, actually, he was moving all around the field, doing whatever he needed. Like, he was fucking feasting. There's a part of me that goes, Cowboys look really fucking good, man. That might be a Super Bowl team. Like, I could see that happening. But I'm also like, you got to remember that other season. I think it was 2019. They started 3-0. They were blowing teams out. Offense looked amazing. Defense looked amazing. And it was like the 3 worst teams in the league. And you did not take the cheese there. You did not take the bait. And you were right when the Cowboys ultimately missed the playoffs. I'm like, this team looks and feels better than that team does. But, I mean, the Giants haven't looked that good. And the Jets without Aaron Rodgers are a very wounded team. I think they play the Niners in week 5. I'll feel a lot more confident in what to think of the Cowboys after that game. Win, lose, or draw. Like, this is how they played against another team that we know is a title contender. The Cowboys are that good. I think they also play the Rams this year, who I think do look pretty fucking good. So that to me is another kind of litmus test game. I believe they have the Bills and the Dolphins back-to-back on the road pretty fucking late in the season. But those will also be like, I mean, that was more of like a Tony Romo thing, where like the Cowboys would like usually lose all of their games in like November and December. But 2 late games on the road against 2 teams that are supposed to be very good. Like these, to me, the Cowboys have to pass some litmus test games for me personally, given their history. But the early prognosis on them is very, very good. So, like I was saying, 9-2. The next game. Wait, why does that say that? That doesn't make any sense. Sorry. Next game is the Commanders and the Broncos, which ended 35-33. And I did see the last 2 minutes of this game. So I saw the Broncos, like, first and goal, not able to get it into the end zone, kicked a field goal, kicked an onside kick, kind of almost got it, but ultimately didn't. Commies ran the ball, weren't able to completely bleed the clock. Broncos got it back. Kind of not doing much of anything. There's a point where like Russell Wilson runs for a first down and he's trying to hit the sideline and he's tackled just before he could get out. It's a great open field tackle. And there's like a shot to the sideline for, I want to say it was Cortland Sutton, who catches it. And I'm like, did he actually get those feet down? Like, it's kind of bobbling the ball a little bit. That's really fucking close. Okay, they said it's complete. 50, they're on the 50-yard line, 3 seconds. This is a Hail Mary attempt. Wilson slings it. There's like 3 guys going for it. It bounces off their hands. It bounces backwards. Another Broncos player behind tries to catch it. It bounces off of his hands. It is right in front of another Broncos player who catches it and like barely gets the ball and kind of shuffles backwards and scores. I was like, oh my God. They're not going to get the conversion. Because I had said it earlier when they're about to kick the field goal. I was like, what if they kick the field goal, get the ball back, score, and don't convert? But they scored the touchdown on the crazy Hail Mary, go to do it, and they can't convert. Seeing the replay, I do think it was DPI on that 2-point conversion. So it's kind of like what I was saying about the Lions-Seahawks. It's like the final play of the game should have been rerun because that was bullshit. Now, like, it's not an asterisk on the stat sheet, but I'm like, I don't like the way the game ended there. But it is a legit win by the Commies because they were down 21-3 And they kept hanging around. They kept fighting back. They took the lead, and they won the fucking game. And I had said, going into this one, I picked Denver week 1. They let me down, and then I said, okay, I'm not picking Denver again this season until they prove something. I mean, if they play like the Cardinals or something, like, fuck, I might pick the Cardinals over the Broncos right now. But I have no faith in the Denver Broncos at this point. This is you need to show something to me. You need to prove to me that you can win fucking games. You offensively played well. You had 33 points. That's good shit. But that vaunted defense is what lets you down, which is the literal opposite of last week. It's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm watching Sean Payton coach the Saints again. Because there were games where like the defense would ball out, but then the offense couldn't do shit and we would lose. And then there'd be games where the offense would ball out, but then the defense couldn't do shit and we would lose. Like, that's a pretty familiar formula for these first 2 games. But I feel like I am resolved to, like, I'm probably not picking Denver unless they really show me something. And they showed me something. They showed that I was right to pick against them. Good for the commies. That's all I really got to say. Okay, that says 10 and... Oh, okay, that's why I was like, why does that say 10 and 3? Because I skipped over a game earlier. So right now, 10 and 2. Now let me get to that third game that I lost. It was the Giants-Cardinals. Because I had said, I was like, the Giants look like dog shit. The Cardinals don't look good, but they showed more fight. I'll pick Arizona to win. They probably won't, but I'll pick them anyways. I have a very good friend who's a Cardinals fan. And seeing, like, texting him throughout the game, him going like, yeah, fuck the Giants, they're dog shit. We're going to win. We're finally going to get our 1 win of the season. And then slowly but steadily losing his faith and then just breaking down into madness was a wonderful experience. And I know that makes me sound like a massive asshole. It's not undeserved. And also the entire time, as I was kind of laughing at his misery, I was thinking the Saints are probably going to find a way to lose on Monday night. So I'll be right there fucking with him. Cards were up 20-0. Meaning in 6 quarters of play, the Giants were outscored 60-0. Giants score a touchdown. Cardinals score a touchdown and get a 2-point conversion. It's 28-7. Now they've gone from being up 20 points to 21 points. And then they didn't score in the 4th quarter. And every time the Giants had the ball in the second half, they scored. I think it was 4 touchdowns and a field goal. Daniel Jones played like a man possessed. There's a part of me that goes, did someone higher up talk to the Cardinals at halftime and go, okay, guys, you're playing too well. We're supposed to be losing, remember? It's like kind of like that Dolphins-Steelers Monday night game a few years ago. I think it was the first time Minka Fitzpatrick was playing the Dolphins after the trade. It was the tank for Tua season. I remember the Dolphins playing really well, and then it was almost like they'd gotten the call like, hey, you need to lose, because they just started playing really fucking bad. I'm not unconvinced that didn't happen here. But the Giants came out playing like they went to the playoffs last year and have expectations and something to prove. And the Cardinals in the second half played like we're trying to get the number 1 overall pick. So, I mean, if that's the case, it's a great outcome for both teams. The Giants stay on the board. The Cardinals stay off of it. I'm a bit disappointed because, like, I almost had another win, but I was wrong there, so I am 10-3. And now we get into the primetime games. So Dolphins-Patriots. Dolphins won 24-17. I had picked New England because I was like, man, the Chargers running game ate the Dolphins run defense for fucking breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The Patriots are going to find a way to fucking feast, and they really didn't on the ground. I had said I was expecting the Dolphins score to be anywhere from like 17 to 24, so I was right. It could have been more. They had a field goal missed and a blocked kick, where I don't think I've ever seen this before, where a dude on the blocking formation did a motion where he's running across the formation but doesn't go over the line. And then as the ball is snapped, then he starts running and with a running start just blocked the kick. That was an awesome play. I'm like, man, I really hope to see more of that shit throughout the year. Field goals might become dangerous if people start weaponizing this shit. Holy fuck. There were some great memes from this game, too. Like, Belichick just... Let me try and do it with one of my cat's toys. We're going to pretend that this is a challenge flag. Him just standing up, taking the flag, and fucking spiking it on the ground. There's one of them looking at a camera like he's just looking away, and then just looks right up at it. And I've seen it with the, like, danger sound effect from Five Nights at Freddy's 2, that, like, chung, that like, weird, like, ka-chunk thing. And it's so funny. I've seen it like 15 times and I laugh every time I see it. It's so fucking perfect. The game itself. See, this is one of those games like I heard a lot of people like, this game was boring. Like it didn't really have a lot going on. It wasn't that interesting. It's like, I actually had a lot of fun watching this game. It reminded me a lot of the Patriots game against the Eagles. This is a team that can win games, but keep shooting themselves in the foot. You'll have, like they're moving down the field. I don't know if this was Ramondre Stevenson or if it was someone else who, like, had the ball. He has, like, this great juke, like, took somebody's ankles running down the field, but then fumbled the ball, so it didn't matter. Patriots block a kick, get good field position. They're not able to score. I don't remember if that was when Mac Jones threw the interception or if that... I actually think he threw a couple picks. Like, he throws a couple picks. That doesn't help. Like, you're so close. Like, you're able to get these opportunities. You're able to get these clutch defensive stops in the fourth quarter. But they can't capitalize. And 2 weeks in a row, that fucking close to converting a much-needed fourth down when you need a touchdown. Last week, the dude barely doesn't put his second foot in bounds. This week, dude catches the ball. I think it was Gesicki, like, catches it. He's starting to get tackled. He knows he's not going to make it, so he pitches the ball behind him. And again, a lineman catches the ball and muscles forward, and he's just short. They called it a first down on the field. After reviewing it, they're like, nah, he was short. And looking at it, I do think he was short by, like, that much. But I do think he was short. It's heartbreaking. Which, again, I'm not a Pats fan. I wanted them to win because I picked them. But it's heartbreaking to see it happen twice in a row. You're so close. And, of course, because, again, we would have had, like, a legendary offensive lineman play that ultimately was for nothing. Looking at it from the Dolphins side, the Dolphins were doing whatever the fuck they wanted in the first half. They definitely slowed down in the second. Now, again, the blocked kick, another kick was missed. I feel like the kick, I want to say it was Jason Sanders. Is that his name? But whoever the Dolphins kicker is, it almost felt like his internal clock was kind of speeding up a bit because of what happened previously. And that caused him to miss the kick. Tua throws an interception at one point. They weren't clicking as well. I think both Hill and Waddle were under 100 yards. I think Waddle had like 80 or 90. Hill was around 50. So the Patriots were able to do defensively what they needed to do. This Dolphins offense is not infallible. They still look really good. I really like watching Tua play football. It's a lot of fun. Not perfect. Again, like he threw a pick, but he's really fucking good at this. And I really hope he's able to stay healthy for a full season. I really, really do. But I did get the game wrong, so that's 10-4. I also got the next game wrong. The Saints won 20-17. And I had said, this feels like the kind of game the Saints would lose. I look at it on paper and go, this defense against a rookie quarterback should fucking feast. The Panthers do have a good defense. I feel like the Saints offense should be able to do enough, but I don't trust it. I was wrong because we won, but I still feel like I was right not to trust it. Because there was a lot of shit. And I will say, to me, there was one very weird reffy kind of thing. I believe it was the Panthers' first possession of the second half. Bryce Young gets strip sacked. Ball comes out. Saints recover on, like, I don't know, the Falcons, the Panthers, like, 5-yard line or some shit. Like, oh, okay, I'm excited. Let's go. And then the announcer's like, hang on, there's a flag, and now the Panthers offense is coming back out on the field, and okay, blah, blah, blah. It was, wait, what? What the fuck just happened? Like, what was the flag for? And it was a while before the announcer said it, because they're like, yeah, even we don't know, because it wasn't really announced what the flag was for. And it was like, I think it was holding on Adebo. I don't think it was DPI. And I saw the replay. I don't remember if I looked at it and went like, yeah, I think I did. It was like, yeah, that looks like a foul. It's not a bad call. But it was really weirdly handled because it was a very late flag with a heavily delayed explanation. I'm upset. Like, I'm upset that my player fucked up and we got penalized. Like, it's a good call, but the way it was handled almost felt like we got to give Bryce Young another chance. All right, throw the flag. Like, I didn't like that. Other things I didn't like in the game. The run game was working really fucking well. It felt like 5 to 6 yards a carry, if not more. Like, anytime Taysom Hill touched it, it was like 8 or 9 yards, if not more. But then there was a point where we just kind of stopped, and granted, Jamal Williams got injured. But even still, it was like, even after his injury, when we went back to the running game, it was working great. We just kind of stopped for a section, and it clearly wasn't working. The pass protection was awful. Penning did not look good in this game. From what I understand, he looked better here than he did last week. It's like he still didn't look good. I will take improvement. I hope he ends up becoming like a lockdown tackle. But he's not there yet. There was one point where Derek Carr is throwing the ball. I think he was throwing to Olave, who was like double covered in the corner. And there was another receiver, I don't remember who the receiver was, who's also coming that way. So there's now a third defender coming too. And Olave, it's not even like, okay, he's in double coverage, but he's still open the way that like Calvin Johnson could be. It's like, no, he's not open. Why the fuck did you throw that ball? It was intercepted. It's like, that has to be a perfectly thrown ball if you're doing it, and you shouldn't anyways. And it wasn't, and it was intercepted. Bad fucking decision. There was a point where we had a 3rd and 2 at the 50-yard line, and I thought, okay, run the ball, because the run game has been fucking good. And if you don't convert, if it's like 4th and 1 or 4th and inches, run it again. Because I don't have faith that this Panthers front, because like there were a few runs that didn't go anywhere, I will give them that. But I don't have faith that this Panthers front can consistently stop our running game. Run it down their throat once, twice if you need to, pick up a first down, kill some more clock. Instead, it's like, all right, we're going to do like a deep drop passing play, and what do you know? Carr gets sacked because he's been getting sacked all fucking night. Like, why? Why the fuck would you call that? The Saints are in the red zone. Do I see Juwan Johnson and his big tight end body out there? No. Do I see Jimmy Graham and his giant tight end body in the red zone? No. Why the fuck are they here? There was a point where I was like actively wondering, is Jimmy Graham not playing tonight? And then I see him, I'm like, no, he's fucking here. Why didn't you bring him down in the red zone? Oh my God. The offense still scored 20 points. I will take that. I feel like we could have scored more. We could have been better. There were still some good throws. There were still some like some deep shots. I loved seeing Michael Thomas getting involved, making a lot of catches, not getting injured. Like, that warms my fucking soul, man. And it's like, I don't even know if he's the number 1 receiver on the team anymore, because Olave's fucking good. Like, we're playing the Packers next week. Jair Alexander's a really good corner. Like, is he going to travel with Olave? Is he going to travel with Mike? I don't know. Like, I'm excited for that. You know, I hope we win. It's like, I'm going to be like, I'm excited. It's like, great. We lost like 35-0. But, the defense played fantastic. Like, Bryce Young is in his 2nd ever NFL game. There is a lot of time for him to become an fucking elite passer. He looked awful. Like, he looked like a rookie in his second ever game playing against an elite defense. He was getting devoured. Now, I feel like he had better runs than he had throws, although there were a couple, I think, nice throws. But a lot of those came at the end when the Saints, after playing lights out all fucking game, not allowing a touchdown, barely allowing the Panthers to move the fucking ball, go start playing soft zone. I hate soft zone defense. Prevent defense prevents you from winning games. It's so fucking stupid. I despise it anytime I see it. Remember the fucking Bucs game last year on Monday Night Football on Halloween? Where like the defense was playing fantastic. The Bucs couldn't do shit. And then all of a sudden at the very end, let's play soft zone. They don't have a lot of time left. So what are we going to do? Let's just give them everything underneath. Something Brady's been able to take advantage of his entire fucking career. So they can march down the field and then go, huh? How the fuck did they get here so quickly? How the fuck do you think? Like, I hate it. It's so stupid. I don't even understand the logic. Because the logic is, if you play with your DBs, like all the defense is so fucking far back, you give up the deep play. Yeah, but you know what you do? You give them so much room to move that they're gonna be able to matriculate down the field anyways. If they have, it's like, if they have a team, like a receiver that's been burning you all game, I can maybe get it. But the Panthers didn't have shit. Why would you risk it? Because you know what happened? They scored, and then they attempted an onside kick. Did they recover it? No. It was closer than I would have liked. It's like the ball did get a hop. Now, Juwan Johnson was able to just go out and grab it. Would have loved to have seen him doing that in the red zone if you had fucking used him. But you didn't. But if he had not caught that, the Panthers probably recover that onside kick, and who knows what the fuck happens. The game should not have been that close. I fucking hate soft zone defense. I'm happy to have been wrong, but I feel like I still feel justified in picking the Saints to lose because they did the kind of dumb shit that the Saints do when they lose games. But I'm 10-5, and for the final game, I did get a win right. I won 11-5. Because the Steelers did end up winning. As I had predicted, the Steelers defense would show up and say, we're not letting that fucking happen to us again. They gave up 22 points, which is not it's one of those where like, that's not a whole lot, but it's a non-zero amount. They also had, two picks, which granted, one of them was, like, the pick six was not Deshaun Watson's fault. It, like, bounced right off his receiver's hands. That's not on him. But, like, 2 picks, 3 fumble recoveries, 2 touchdowns, a pick six. TJ Watt forces, I don't know if he specifically forced the fumble, like a fumble happens, and then TJ Watt returned it for a touchdown. I'm like, I lost my fantasy league my game because of that. Fuck. But I got the pick right, so I was like, it could have been worse. So what would have pissed me off? It was like, if the Steelers defense played just, like, enough to make me lose, but not well enough to finish the game, I would have been pissed. Deshaun Watson didn't look great from the little bit that I was able to see. I know he had like a couple personal fouls, like he tried to stiff arm a dude. I think it was a face mask. Like, that's actually kind of funny. Prayers sucking up for Nick Chubb, man. That hit, I'm not gonna say it was necessarily, like, it was intentionally dirty. I don't know what was going through Minka Fitzpatrick's head, but that's a brutal hit. The fact that the crew specifically said, like, yeah, we just saw the replay, we're not showing that on TV. And you can hear in Pittsburgh the gasps of the people in attendance when they saw the replay. It's brutal. There's no way he's playing football again this season. And I sincerely hope he is able to make a full recovery. I don't say anything about Fitzpatrick because it sounds like he was able to. Because I know he was injured afterwards as well, and I heard like he's been released from the hospital. It sounds like he is okay, and I'm glad for that too. But like, man, I really hope that Nick Chubb is able to come back stronger than ever, because I really like Nick Chubb. I love watching him play football. I don't know what the Browns are going to look like without him. I definitely lose a lot of my confidence, especially, I mean, they're probably going to have to rely a lot more on Deshaun Watson, who isn't looking great. And the Steelers' offense looks like shit from everything I have seen and heard. You literally have it echoing in the stands. Fire Canada. Fire Canada, which is their offensive coordinator, who, from everything I've heard from Steelers fans, are like, how the fuck did he not get fired last season? But, those were all the games. I went 11-5. I did slightly better than I did last week. So, again, in most NFL seasons, shout out to the 08 Patriots. But 11-5 would mostly get you into the playoffs. So we're looking good. We'll see what happens next week. If I can do a little bit better, if I can stay about the same, maybe next week I'll be like, oh, I'm not getting anything right. Holy shit. But we'll see how that goes. I plan on trying to record that and upload it tomorrow on Wednesday. Hopefully I'll be able to get this video uploaded and time-stamped tonight or sometime this evening. But I think that's about it. Hope you have a good rest of your day.